Mutual and Federal proudly presents the 2003 Universities Boat Race. Port Alfred on the Eastern Province coast played host to the 2003 boat race. As far back as the 1970s, a tradition was started on the Kowie River at Port Alfred between the University of Cape Town and Rhodes University. In 2003, it has grown to a full-blown universities clash where the best of South African universities come to compete for the top honour in a sport where tradition, teamwork, ambition and excellence come together. The boat race moved back to Port Alfred in 1984. Before that, the race was held on the Vaal River, but the coastal teams bailed with the altitude and a decision was made to have the race back on the Kowie River. The river presents its own excitement with crews running aground on the sandbanks, clashes around the bends, a very narrow passage under the bridge, all of which makes for exhilarating racing. The race format sees each university entering a men's and women's A and B crew. Each division then has to race in what is called a head race. During the head race, the crew start at 30-second intervals and they essentially race for a time that will place them in two boat finals. Wet and cool weather saw the Rhodes First 8 doing a last practice session on the morning of their final to determine first and second place against UCT. The Rhodes Grahamstown ladies warming up, stroked by Sasha Stevenson. They had the fastest time in the Women's A division and that gave them additional confidence going into the final that afternoon. The Rao women won the boat race in 2002 and came here as the clear favourites. The Women's B final saw UCT taking on Rao. Let's go and have a look at the 9 crew lineup for each of the teams. And first up, the Rao women's lineup. And now a look at the UCT lineup. The race started and the crews of both teams got off to a strong start. The women's race start took them down past Centenary Park and Bell's Reach into the sharp turn at the corner of Bay of Biscay. This is where things started getting very tricky. At a race, a crew must declare their weight. There is a minimum weight for the cocks. A lighter cocks will be required to carry the so-called dead weight so that both boats have an equal opportunity to win the race. Each crew is assigned a lane in which it will row for the duration of the race. It is expected for the crew to remain on their proper course and they are not allowed to encroach on the course of the opponents or interfere with the other crew. But a corner such as the one of Bay of Biscay makes it very hard to stay on course. And both crews found it unavoidable to stay in their lanes and at the dreaded Bay of Biscay they clashed. In an event such as this, the race has to be stopped and restarted. Each year at the boat race, there inevitably is a clash somewhere along the course in one or more races. More often than not, it's at this corner. If blame can be assigned, the crew will be penalised by one length at the restart, but more often than not, umpiring a river race is tricky and the race will be restarted on equal footing. With the race restarted, Rao battled to catch up to UCT. A restart makes it very hard to get back into rhythm and they had to work really hard to build up their pace again. UCT got off to a smooth start and was determined to hang on to their lead. The rest of the 4 kilometres race saw determined UCT heading for home. And with the last couple of 100 metres to go, UCT was set for a convincing victory in the Women's B event. Smiles and victorious cheers all round as the UCT B crew clinches the title. Not even the weather could dampen the supporters' glee. In fact, the weather reminded very strongly of the UK weather where the first boat race took place way back in 1829. The infamous Oxford-Cambridge boat race was the idea of enthusiastic friends. Charles Marival was a student at Cambridge and Charles Wordsworth at Oxford. And in March 1829, Cambridge sent a challenge to Oxford and the first race took place on the 10th of June. A tradition was set and one that is carried on to this day. And at this boat race, the traditions are a little bit hairy.
It was just pretty much go with the most outrageous thing we came with there. And yeah, obviously purple and white are the rose colours, so just did that.
The Rhodes B8 racecock's Jenny Stewart getting ready for the race as her crew gets into the boat. And we'll soon find out whether the hairdos gave them extra oomph as they take on the UCT-B crew. At the starting stations, the crews align. They are required to stay in alignment for the start of the race. Let's now take a look at the lineup for the men's B race between Rhodes, also known as the Gondwanaland 8 versus UCT. And a look at the opposition from Grahamstown. At the start of the race, and both crews are level pegging. Christo Crampton, the road stroke, set up a very smooth rate and rhythm. The Rhodes Gondwanaland 8 slowly started to pull away from UCT. The men's race is over 6 kilometres. It starts at Rabbit Rocks down Pig Flats into First Picnic, where the first corner needs to be negotiated. Obviously, it is easy to go around the corner without a crew next to you, and Rhodes was determined to take advantage of this. The rodents make a break for the corner, and UCT gave it all they had to catch up. Rhodes had now built up a good lead over the boys from Cape Town. The Purple Power could do no wrong. The stroke Christo Crampton had set them up for a good rate and rhythm. 4 kilometres into the race, and the Rhodes 8 is looking very comfortable. Heading down the last straight to the finish, the Rhodes 8 open up their comfortable lead even further. UCT had fallen way behind. The Rhodes 8 looked in control for the entire race, never once losing their rhythm. Support for the UCT crew as they come in for the finish, but it was the purple crew of Rhodes Gondwanaland 8 that had a spectacular victory in the final time of 18 minutes, 18.06 seconds.
Yes, we are very, very happy. It was a very nice race. We just gunned it out the start, and we were up on them from the start, and we just opened length from then on. It's very nice.
Jen, I've never seen such a beautiful course in my life. That was phenomenal driving. Phenomenal driving.
Well, it was one delighted coach, Neri Davies. The Rhodes crew proving that you can't judge a book by its cover, or hairstyle in this case.
Refereeing on a river race like this is particularly difficult because the individuals are taking note of the tide, the wind, and what we're really doing is seeing that racing is totally fair. So what has to happen is each individual crew has to stay in their own water unless they are so far ahead that they can cut across, and then they're entitled to take the shortest course between the 2 points. So what we're trying to do is see that racing is fair, as I've said, and give each individual crew an equal chance to win the race.
More surprising hairstyles in store with the crew of Peter Maritzburg A8 preparing for their 3rd and 4th place final against Rau. It remained to be seen if their colourful appearance would bring them luck as well. Kevin Milan, the Rau stroke, with the rest of the crew deep in thought as they prepared themselves mentally for the final. Rau Cox Ryan Thompson giving some last instructions as the crews line up at the start. The start of the men's A race getting underway, and let's take a look at the two crews. And the Pietermaritzburg 8, which included Len Jenkins, who was the recent winner of the Berg River Canoe Marathon. Heading through the Bay of Biscay, the Rau crew had opened up a good lead over Pietermaritzburg. Rau came through the last bridge still in the lead, but didn't manage to open up their lead any further. Pietermaritzburg managed to give Rau a good run for their money. Rau taking the third place honours convincingly in a time of 19 minutes 39.26 seconds. There wasn't a lack of support for the teams as the riverbanks were packed by enthusiastic spectators.
The Mutual Federal's been involved now in the University's Regatta for about 3 years. One of the things that attracted us to it was the commitment that the students put into rowing in terms of time and dedication and passion, as you've probably seen on the water today and yesterday. And we like to believe that as an organisation we've got the same sort of attributes, and we encourage people to develop in this regard. And we see these people as leaders in business in the future. And we see them as leaders in the business community in the future, and people that we would hopefully as an organisation like to be dealing with in future years.
President of Rowing South Africa, Mr. Bob Tucker, officiated the toss for stations for the women's A8 final. With him were Kelly Marseille, the Rhodes women's captain, and Tom Shaw, the Rau Cox.
There are 2 corners on the race. They will have the first advantage, but just going to maintain contact and hopefully pull it off around the stroke side corner to our advantage and come down the first straight, the winning straight.
The Rau women's 8 at the start. And here we have the Rhodes 8.
Are you ready? Go.
The Rau 8 touching up to the start. The women's A8 final between Rau and Rhodes waiting for the signal. And let's take a look at the matchup head to head. And a look at the women's team from Rhodes. The start of the women's A8 final, Rau on the left, Rhodes on the right. A smooth start as the Rau women put in some powerful strokes. They managed to take an early lead over the rodents. Rhodes were not planning to let them get away that easily and gave it their best shot to catch him. Rau was on a roll and managed to keep Rhodes at bay by at least 1 length. By now the weather had cleared up considerably as the crews made their way down towards the Bay of Biscay. An exciting scene as the crews come into the corner at Bay of Biscay. Rao managed to hold on to their lead as Rhodes put pressure on them from behind. It was now or never as Rhodes Cox spurred her crew on to make the gap smaller between the boats. Sasha Stevenson, the Rhodes stroke, spoke to us earlier about rowing.
Rowing's a tough sport. It's one of those things that you've got to love. If you're going to carry on, it takes a lot of dedication. And so if you do love it, stick at it, keep going, because it's most certainly worth it.
Back to the action at hand as Rhodes lost further ground to an unstoppable row. Negotiating the bridge on the last stretch, experienced Rao Cox Tom Shaw cuts between the bank and the pylon, giving his crew an even further advantage. The Rhodes crew opted for a wider course and it resulted in them falling a little further behind the Rikis. Looking at the right side of the screen, you'll see the Rao crew hit a wake and went through a serious wobble, but luckily managed to regain perfect balance as they made their way down the final stretch. Quite a few lengths now separated the two crews and it was clearly a victory ahead for Rao. During a race where there are very strict rules and regulations to stick to, the umpires watch the boats along the way to make sure no fouls are committed. Approaching the last bridge before the finish line, the Rhodes girls still trying very hard.
I started rowing in '94 for my school, JP. From then on, went through school, made SA Junior Squad 98, 99, 2000 made the Senior Squad, 2002 rowed for Rao, won boat race here last year, and went to under 23 World Champs this year, and here I am again rowing for Rao.
A tired but victorious Rao wins the race in a time of 14 minutes 58.26 seconds. Celebrations and congratulations all round as the crews shake hands.
Awesome! It was a good race, tough, hard, Rhodes took it to us, but my girls pulled through in the end, and we wrapped up the best season ever. Unbeaten. Well done, Chicks! For you.
It was not an easy race, it was very tough, but we pulled through and we're very happy. This is the third time I've tried this and third time lucky I've won. Thank you very much.
It was a good race. We had a big push from the start and we were hoping we could take it from there, but Rhodes fought back the whole way. It was a really, really brilliant race. Nice and tight and a lot of competition. And at the end of the day, we won, which is what we were aiming for. Trained hard and put in the work and reaped the rewards. So it was brilliant.
Bob Tucker tossing the coin for the men's A8A final, with him on the Rhodes Cox Adam Chipwell and the UCT 8 Cox Edwin James.
I know it's going to be the hardest race of my life, and I believe we can do it.
We saw purple hair, green hair, and now we have no hair. What's it with these rows and their hairstyles? It takes some planning and a whole lot of balance to get the crew in. The sport is first and foremost about teamwork. Some supporters making their way to the boat as the crews get ready for their final race. Here we see the UCT A8 doing some last preparation before their final against Rhodes. The Rhodes A8 moving up to the start with slow, easy strokes. And the two teams lining up for the Battle of Kowie River. And here's a look at the Rhodes crew with Andrew Craig on stroke. And the crews are on their way.
Well, I started rowing at Bishops, and then from there we came to Rhodes. This year I represented South Africa at the Under-23 World Championships. And yeah, I've rowed A crew the last 2 years at Rhodes and won boat race last year.
UCT started to pull away slowly as Rhodes tried hard not to lose any ground. Early days and UCT now about half a length up on Rhodes. Rhodes clashing, but no time for the crews to stop, just keep on rowing.
I started rowing at UCT 3 years ago. Been rowing for the first crew for 2 years. This year I went to the World Under-23 Games and came fourth in the Cox's form.
Approaching Centenary Pond Corner, 2 kilometres into the race, Rhodes have made a comeback as they take the lead. The Rhodes engine looking very powerful. UCT goes wide around the corner and Rhodes capitalise on their lead. And the Rhodes boys now pulling away. Andrew Craig, the Rhodes stroke and captain, setting up a very comfortable rhythm for his crew. Going into the Bay of Biscay, Rhodes had built up a comfortable lead over UCT. The boys from Cape Town had to pull out all the stops to try and catch up to the strong Rhodes crew. UCT as they head down the final stretch with Rhodes up ahead of them, plenty of support on the riverbanks edging them on. But the Rhodes 8 proved to be too strong as they approached the finish line. They put in a strong performance and proved true to the spirit of rowing, just what can be achieved with excellent rhythm and teamwork. They crossed the finish line amidst loud applause and cheering in a time of 19 minutes, 9.09 seconds. UCT on their last stretch as the crowds look down from the bridge. Cheering and applause for a brilliant final showdown. An overjoyed and relieved Rhodes crew making their way onto steady ground.
Well, we pretty much stuck to our race plan, just came down the first straight, tried to keep relaxed, and then on the inside line of the corner we just took the length out of them and then just kept it from there, tried to push it a bit, had some extra distance, but it went well, very smooth.
Looks like a lot of fun, and the UCT women with their medals for winning the B8s. The Rhodes Gondwanaland 8 receiving their medals for winning the B8s, proving that there is something to be said for having a good hair day. Silver medals for the Rhodes A women and for the UCT A8. The Rao women holding their winning blades aloft, and the Rhodes A8 receiving their gold medals and holding up the Cambridge blade. And then, keeping with tradition, the winning cox Adam Cripwell receives special treatment from the crew. And that brings us to the end of a highly successful 23rd Universities boat race on the Kowie River in Port Alfred. The 2003 Universities boat race was proudly brought to you by Mutual and Federal.